up, nerds? We're back. Welcome to another episode of The Bandwagon Fan. This is the show where we talk about all things pop culture and what we're into right now. I'm Josh.
I'm AJ.
And what's good, man?
Oh man, it's been a hectic couple of weeks, guys. If anyone's been wondering where we were, life comes at you hard. It comes at you fast.
Yeah. It's been pretty hectic. For all of us. So it's good to be back for sure.
Good to be back.
I think one of the craziest things that's happened to me in the past few weeks is I discovered that there's something called banana milk.
What's banana milk?
It is literally milk made from bananas.
This seems like something you would find at like an Asian market. Am I correct in that assumption? Because that doesn't seem like an American thing.
It was actually at Aldi.
Oh, what a twist! Well, technically, isn't Aldi owned by isn't it like a German company?
Yeah, I think it's a German company.
So I'm partially right. Yeah.
So that is a thing, and it literally tastes like liquid banana, for better or for worse.
Well, here in Texas, for all my Texans, we have a store called H-E-B. Fun fact, named after Howard Edward Butt. That's his full name. But anyways, they sell this. It's like flavored milk, and they have like a lot of different flavors. So they have like blueberry flavored, strawberry flavored, mocha flavored, chocolate flavored, of course, vanilla flavored sometimes, and they have like holiday ones. But surprisingly, never banana. So that's actually
really,
yeah. So that's kind of interesting. All these got them up on one. I might have to hit up an Aldi's and find it.
Yeah, dude. I was surprised. I like bananas, so I was like, I gotta try this. And I don't really drink a lot of dairy milk. Like I can't remember the last time I bought a gallon of dairy milk. I mostly drink almond just to mix it up a little bit.
That's a good point. Yeah, I can't imagine just chugging some milk. Although
I used to.
they opened. If you're familiar with like soda shops that they have in Utah, like the Mormons, they can't drink alcohol, so they get their fix by drinking like flavored sodas and stuff. Are you familiar with this at all?
I went to a brewery in California once that like had that attached to it, so I think I understand the idea.
A soda shop, yeah. It's basically it's the funniest thing ever. But I only bring it up because like they opened one next to me, and like half their drinks have like weird flavored milks in it. I'm like, this is a lifestyle I don't know if I can subscribe to.
Yeah, I mean, if it works for you, cool. Not for me.
Cool.
The verdict on the banana milk is it's mid at best.
Oh, really? That's a shocking review.
Yeah, like on its own, it's just like okay. If you put it in something like I put in some oatmeal and some other stuff.
Oh,
like, right,
yeah, oatmeal. Oatmeal would be good, or like overnight oats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was like
steel cut
muffins, maybe? Question mark.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be a good like substitute for like different kinds of milk.
Different milk, and then the only other thing I could think of was like maybe if you're making like cake, box cake, and then you use the banana milk, that could be good.
That's what I was thinking. But it's a whole new world out there, guys. And have you ever had blue milk?
Blue milk? Don't they have it at the park in Disney World now?
The Star Wars, what's it called? Star Wars.
The Star Wars
Galaxy. Is it Galaxy's Edge?
Star Wars Galaxy's Edge sounds right. Let me see. Star Wars Blue Milk.
I'm such a fake Star Wars fan. I don't even know the name of it.
Well, I mean, between me and you, I've never had a hankering to go because I know it's going to just be like a total thing to try to even get inside. You know what I mean?
Dude, it's like thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
If you want to stay.
So yes, it's Galaxy's Edge. You were right.
Okay.
And they serve blue and green milk. I have a stinking suspicion that they're just like maybe blueberry and green apple.
Probably, or
you know what I mean?
At worst, like food diet. If it was just food diet, that would be awful.
That would be disappointing. Can
you imagine walking around Florida, America's swamp crotch, drinking milk
in the heat,
a hot, humid summer day?
Yeah, no way, brother, no way. I would just go home. I would absolutely just call it a day.
Oh no, brother.
That's disgusting. I'd vomit. Um, I wonder what they take. Oh, okay. So a little update on the blue/green milk. Blue milk has different flavors. So the
Oh, okay.
flavors are pineapple, lime, dragon fruit, and watermelon. And then green milk has a different set of flavors: passion fruit, grapefruit, mandarin orange, and orange blossom.
Interesting.
So you are partially right. It is
All right.
just dyed shakes? Question
At least
mark?
it's flavored though.
At least it's flavored.
I
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
I would not be able to sipping on some milk on a summer day. No, thank you.
Now, how much do you think they cost?
$17.
That's not a bad guess. So without alcohol, they're 8.50. With
Okay.
alcohol, they're 15.
Uh,
Yeah. So
yeah.
not the worst thing, but whatever.
It's like that those Coachella meals, man.
I think you get a little bit more with the milk,
Yeah, probably. So, folks, if you stuck with us through our 5-minute milk conversation,
Hmm.
congratulations. In case you couldn't tell, we're here to talk about Star Wars. Not just any
Yeah.
Star Wars, The Mandalorian season 3.
Season trace.
It's pretty crazy to think that we've gotten to this point. I remember when the show was announced, I was skeptical but also excited,
I
and
was
here we
very
are,
skeptical.
3 seasons in.
Yeah, I was very skeptical as well. I just didn't see at the time. That's off. It was off the heels of episode 9, right?
I think so. So that's why I was like, this is probably
Yeah.
going to suck.
Oh no! It was off the heels of the Solo movie. I think.
Oh, really?
Remember? I'm like fairly positive.
Honestly,
The
like
Solo movie was like like breaking point.
yeah, but like the longer these franchises expand, the less like the more it just blends together. Where like
Yeah.
it feels like The Force Awakens came out like 5 years ago.
I think it did.
It's been a
Oh
minute.
wait, no, it's been a minute. It's like what 2017,
I
2018.
think so. Yeah.
Oh my god! I guess that is 5 years ago.
Is it?
Wow, time flies.
Yeah. See,
6 years ago.
it feels like it doesn't feel as long as it should have been. Is what I was trying to say.
No, I no, I agree.
Yeah.
I wasn't super optimistic about it when it came out because it's just I didn't see how it would work.
Yeah.
Um, they didn't really prepare us, and I think we talk about it all the time. I'm just so tired of them containing themselves in this little box, like this tiny box, right? It's like that scene at the end of, like, I think it's like one of those Indiana Jones movies where they hide the whatever artifact and it's in this giant warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that little box, and that's all Disney felt like they had to play with when there's like an entire storeroom worth of stuff to reference, and they're just like, nope, Skywalkers. That's what we want you guys to really get to know. So we're gonna explore every crevice of this stupid story. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was just afraid there's gonna be more of that.
Well, and here we are, and yeah, it's been a minute since we recorded, so we've kind of adopted a newer format. So let's dig into what are the things that we liked about this season.
Mm.
And for me, seeing all these Mandalorians honestly brought me joy.
Oh,
I've loved the idea of Mandalorian since I was a kid. Like they were like really mysterious when I was a kid, and then you got comics and books and video games that kind of explored who they were more, and
yeah.
so like, that got me more into it. Like especially like Knights of the Old Republic. I just re-downloaded it on Steam,
Mm.
um, and yeah, there's just like so much cool stuff there. And if you are a fan of like the whole Mandalorian culture thing, like I am, I suggest checking out the Republic Commando books written by, I believe it was Karen Travis, who also wrote the Gears of War books. And she just did a really good job of incorporating like military stuff with the Mandalorian culture. So it's really cool to have seen that, and I would love to see even more of that. So that was the first thing that sticks out to me that I really enjoyed about this season.
I enjoyed seeing kind of the after effects of The Empire Strikes Back, where you see what happens to the empire after they are defeated, and it's not like, well, okay, empire's over with, we're all going to go home. It's more like Rome, right, near the end, where it was fractioned, it was fractured, excuse me, into these different sects, and like that's essentially what you're seeing, like uh echoes of all these different groups trying to grab power. I felt like that was an interesting spin on what feels like a retread of a story we've seen multiple times, and I think that's leading up to the Thrawn, I guess you could say, storyline later on, which is cool. But I think it's kind of interesting. We've never seen that perspective before, right? From our perspective, if you're following what was considered main canon, it was the quote unquote Republic, and then all of a sudden, turned to the Empire, and then they disappeared, and then for no reason whatsoever, the new Empire just appeared in the new trilogy, and so it doesn't really feel like you're not seeing any of the inner workings of that government. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was a more interesting part of the story.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way, but you're
Yeah,
right. Like you're seeing like those remnants of like the post Return of the Jedi Star
yeah,
Wars universe to be like they're not just gonna go away, man.
right,
So
right.
people need to remember that like when there's an opposition, like they don't just go away. They're still gonna be there. You have to deal with it still.
Yeah. What else? What else did you like about this season?
For whatever reason, Pedro Pascal has become like the daddy of 2023. And I'm here for it. Like I've been a fan of his for a minute.
Hmm.
I enjoyed him in Game of Thrones, especially, and so and in these the first seasons of The Mandalorian, especially season one, like I thought it was really cool. It's a lot of voice acting, which is a little weird, and we can kind of get into that later.
Hmm.
Um, because he wasn't really there a whole lot. He was
Yeah,
the Din was played body wise by two other actors. So like that was a little weird, but like even like voice acting, like Pedro Pascal still gives a good performance, which
yeah,
I think is a testament to his acting skills. And I'm not going to knock him from getting other opportunities. Within that, you really get to see how much Din cares about Grogu. Like he has settled into the fact like this is my son,
yeah.
and he like wants to do right by him. So it
Right.
was really cool to see that progression from being like just the bounty hunter to he's a dad now.
Well, I'll echo that a little bit, and I think that was kind of a theme that they were trying to hint at through this entire season. That Din Djarin, there was some parts of responsibility he wasn't taking. Right, like he wasn't taking responsibility for taking off his mask. He wasn't taking responsibility for Grogu, and I think that's what that moment at the end when he adopts Grogu. Spoiler. Uh, when he adopts Grogu, that I think that's what the armor was trying to like get him to a level of understanding. Like you are no longer a student, you are a teacher now. You know what I mean? So I enjoyed that. I felt like that's a natural progression. I still have some problems with their characters, and we can explain that in the don't like part. But
Yeah.
at least that part was nice.
Mm.
Yeah. I also like the seeing the Mandalore politics. You know, they don't go into the TV show but in the Star Wars Rebels show, and I think even Clone Wars, honestly. I think the Mandalorian politics was a big part in what shapes the events that happen, when the Emperor takes over. And so you see a lot of those after effects, in this show as well. So, that was also cool.
No, you're right. I actually recently rewatched some of those episodes of the
Hmm.
Mandalorian stuff from Clone
Hmm.
Wars. It's so interesting, the
Yeah.
politics.
Yeah.
Because like it's kind of like this gaping hole in the Star Wars universe. It's like what happened to Mandalore? What happened to the
Well,
Mandalorians?
it's very, I mean, it's probably intentional, but it's very reminiscent of Vikings. You know what I mean? And this idea
Yeah.
that Vikings as a unit were it like I don't remember where I read or watched or heard this, but it was like this idea that if Vikings were able to band together at one point, they probably would have been able to conquer a lot of the new world at that time. It
Okay.
was only because they had this fractured mentality where, like, each clan kind of does their own thing.
Yeah.
That's really the reason why they didn't conquer more than they did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if my history isn't failing me, a lot of why England is one nation at this point is because the Vikings essentially conquered, absolutely just decimated and conquered what was England then, and made all the smaller kingdoms band together. You know what I mean? So pretty fascinating, and I think that's what Mandalore is trying to. I think that's what it's like symbolic of, at least.
Yeah. No, definitely, definitely. And then the third thing that I enjoyed, I'm very curious to hear what you thought. They managed to pull off those episodes where it wasn't about Din or Grogu, like the one where it was about like the Imperial spies or like the Rebel pilot, where like the story just shifted away from the
Yeah,
Mandalorian.
yeah,
And part of me was like, why couldn't you just do this in a different show? But also the way that they did it, I was like, okay, like this was well executed at least, so I can respect
mhm,
that. So that I have mixed feelings, but I have to respect the fact that I thought it was well executed. I'm curious what you
sure.
thought.
Um, let's transition to what we did like. I think
Okay.
that's easier. I think it's easier for us. I felt like the season didn't have a lot of focus, and I felt that what you just described was a big part of it. That
Yeah.
they are trying to merge a lot of storylines. Let's just call a spade a spade. They are trying to introduce other parts of the Star Wars universe. They're doing it they're starting to plant those seeds in one season. And then after they have these different plot lines and thread lines that they're trying to get out there, they're trying to make that into one cohesive story. And I felt like it just didn't land for me. I didn't really enjoy the story it was trying to tell. Um, I think the show's biggest handicap right now is the fact that Grogu is a child. And it made sense for the first season because Grogu was the thing that he was protecting or trying to deliver or whatever. But with each season, you're starting to see it make less and less sense. Now, with that said, there are theories out there, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but there may be a way for there may be a way for us to see an adult Grogu. I I don't know if that's what they're intending to do, or if they're just going to keep going with this baby Yoda thing, and Daddy Din. I don't know if that's what they're going to keep hammering, but I think it's getting a little ridiculous that he has to walk around with a baby. Um, it's just.
No, it is ridiculous.
The last scene was
100%.
cool. When he was like using his force powers, I guess you know what I mean. But like when they put him in the robot, I'm like, come on, man, what is
Oof.
this? I was
Oof.
like, what is happening? I'm like,
Yeah.
R2 Grogu, really? This is the best we got. I don't know.
No, I 100% agree. And like I said, I respected the execution of those subplots, but at the same time, I really didn't like it
Yeah,
because, like you were saying, like the season felt like it lost scope because
yeah,
there's like too much going on,
too much going
and
on.
like I was talking to a lot of people about this week where it really just felt like somebody higher up in Disney was like, "Hey, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, you guys need to have this, this, and this, and talk about this, and include this,
Yeah,
and put that in there."
yeah,
And maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am. And if that is the case, like you really just like kneecapped this show, and especially
yeah,
this season. Season one really showed that these people could create something that felt like OG Star Wars. And this season didn't feel like it had that as much. There were
yeah,
glimpses of like it felt like Clone Wars with like all the Mandalorian stuff, which is super
yeah,
cool. Clone
yeah,
Wars was great, but a lot of it felt like sequel, just execution, and I just did not enjoy it. It was not for me. So
It's
that
funny.
I
It's funny
echo
you
what you're
say
saying.
that. No, it's funny you say that. I felt the execution was more akin to the new trilogy, where it's like we need to go here. Okay, we're here. We need to go there. Okay, we're there. And there's no, we're not experiencing the journey. We're just planet hopping, and like that's kind of boring. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And there wasn't really like a story being told. I feel like the insertion of Bo-Katan was awkward. I felt like her character, I just didn't care. I just didn't care about her character being there, being the leader of Mandalore. I'm gonna tell you right now. I think Star Wars dropped the ball with this season of The Mandalorian because we never get to see why Mandalore was so feared, right? If I'm not mistaken, Mandalorians were up there in terms of power as the Jedi Order. So it just seems like a bunch of people with blasty guns. And, there was like even like a moment at the last two episodes where all of a sudden the enemy had like John Wick style like armor, and all of a sudden now they're like engaging in close quarters combat. I'm just like, all right, just more blasty blast, shooty shoot. I guess I don't know. Like, there's no, like, I don't know. I was hoping when we saw in the beginning, what was the name of the monster that they based the Mandalorian
Oh, the
religion on?
Mythosaur.
Mythosaur. Yeah, I was hoping that seeing the Mythosaur was a sign that we were gonna get something maybe mystical with
Ooh,
Mandalorian's powers.
yeah.
It was not the case. It was, in
Nah.
fact, they heavily implied it wasn't real. So
Yeah.
just a middle finger to all of us.
They subverted our expectations. I'm so edgy for saying that.
So yeah,
To,
I just
to,
felt,
to
yeah, yeah.
oh
Go ahead.
no, go ahead. Finish the thought.
No, I was just gonna say I just felt like this season it just seemed too broad. Like there wasn't like a focus. Like it wasn't something we, the audience, were waiting to see. And like I gotta be honest with you, man. Like I love who's the actor that plays Moff Gideon? He's such a good villain. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
Giancarlo, I think his name is. Yeah,
Esposito.
he's such a good actor. But I'm like, oh come on, man. Like
It was
what
a little
is this?
it was a little cheese.
I'm like, what is this? Like it what I just didn't
Yeah.
understand. Like I was like, what is this? What are there are so many great villains in Star Wars, and I'm just like, who wrote this? Who's writing
Yeah.
this, man? Oh, jeez,
Yeah.
jeez, jeez
To
Louise.
backtrack a little bit, I'm a huge Bo-Katan stan,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like they just really disrespected her in this
Yeah.
season. She has the makings of a main protagonist, and they treated her very much like a second string,
Mm-hmm.
and it's awkward, it's kind of boring, and it's just an extreme disservice to her and to her character and to the 2%. Like it's just like what are you guys doing? Like
well,
it felt like she was a hostage to the series writing rather than a character who was supposed to essentially a queen almost of a warrior
well,
culture.
I feel like one of the issues with her depicted on the show is that they expect you to know who her character already is and what her character means to Mandalore, which I feel like is so unfair to do in this show because they never establish those kind of expectations for somebody like my wife who doesn't know who Bo-Katan is. So from her perspective, it's just some redheaded pixie cut lady who is loud. Like I don't know, like she doesn't have like she doesn't have any character moments. You know what I mean? And the way she gets the darksaber back is kind of corny.
Oof,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh
Yeah.
come on, like I don't know, like a lot of these things felt forced, and I agree with you. Where it's like it feels like when Bob Iger came back. Bob Iger is the current CEO of Disney. I don't know if he's still. I know he came back and left or whatever, but I feel like he came back. He's like, no, we got to do it this way, and they're like, all right, if you say so, because it just felt really corny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And last thing for me, and you touched on this, like I'm kind of tired of Grogu. Like I feel like he served his purpose. He really should have just stayed with Luke.
Yeah.
And honestly, like it feels like a cash grab To which I say, Disney, you guys sold enough toys. Please move on so that
Yes.
we can, continue the story as it was before. And I sound like an old man. Back in my day, things were better. But season one was peak.
Well, I think it's just getting a little ridiculous because Grogu, there's no growth in Grogu's character. And like as we know, his race lives very long. So there's not going to be, unless some of the things that could happen with like the Ahsoka show, unless they're trying to do some maybe interdimensional warping of some kind, I don't know. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is as it is right now, there's no way Grogu grows up with Din Djarin in a way that would make sense. Like 10 years from now, he's going to be the equivalent of a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
And then Djarin's character is going to be like almost 50. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like unless you're telling me like he is going to live to also be like 200. Like it just doesn't make any sense. There's no realm where this makes any sense. So it's like the fact that you've now just like you know what the show needs? The show needs another character to take the limelight away from Grogu. Grogu just needs to be a backpack character at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Needs to be a backpack character. No more Carl Weathers. I'm done seeing Carl Weathers. I don't care about Carl
Mando.
no more Carl Weathers. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's.
Should we go to the least favorite scene while we're dumping on the series?
Sure. Yeah, let's go to the least favorite scene.
It was tied for me between Moff Gideon being like, "Oh no, you killed my force sensitive clones."
Yeah, I was like, ugh.
I was like, come on, guys! Like, we have some really good writers on this, on the Disney payroll. Like, you can do a little better, please. Between that, but I went with Grogu with the IG body and him pushing the no button repeatedly. It was funny for like the first 3 times he did it. I was like, okay, that's funny. And he did it for like 10 times in a row.
Yeah.
And then it happened a couple other times. I was like, okay, I understand Star Wars was meant for kids, but like I think even a kid would get annoyed by this.
My least favorite scene, I had a lot of them, so I'm trying to pick which one bugged me the most. I think the whole pirate thing, that was just like, what is this, man? That wasn't even fun.
That could have been good if that was like a focus. That felt like season 1 Mandalorian.
It came out of nowhere, and there was no consequences to any of that. I was just like, all right, I guess,
It gave convenient reasoning for the Mandalorians to band together on the planet and like become like the saviors or whatever. But I
just rolled my eyes. I'm like, oh great, this seems really cheesy. I mean, that the Grogu scene was pretty. Was it wasn't even the no part. It was just the fact that I'm like, is Grogu gonna be in a robot for the rest of the show? And then he doesn't do anything in the robot. So I'm like, what is the purpose? Is this to make him walk faster? I was like, this makes no sense.
It literally was.
I was like, he already had a metal egg, like Dr. Xavier, that he would just like Professor Xing his way through the plot, and then you put him in a robot. Like, why? What's the reason for that?
Yeah.
It was so weird. You're right about the toy thing. Now that I think about it, that's just to sell different variants of Grogu toys. Because what was that?
I was hoping that he was going to go on the robot and it was going to close up and then we didn't see him anymore.
What I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought.
I was like, okay, I'm fine with that. And then it feels more like IG, because then I thought maybe Taika Waititi would just voice and Grogu would talk through the robot.
Right.
I was like, all right, cool. Like it'll feel like IG-88 is just whatever number he is. He's just hanging out again.
But my least favorite scene by far was that whole last episode. That was just a big pooper. Okay, like the fight scene. Like there was a point where somebody kamikazed a freaking like star destroyer like into the planet. I'm like, this was your plan? This was your plan? Like about that, this was such a poorly executed plan. I'm like, you made no attempt to make sure no one was on the ground. Oh, goodness gracious. It was rough. This was a rough season. What was your favorite scene? Let's end on a high note. What was your favorite scene?
This is definitely a high note. The reveal that Kelleran Beck saved Grogu
Yes,
I absolutely
I like
loved
that. Yeah,
because for those of you who don't know, the Jedi Master who saved Grogu, Kelleran Beck, was played by Ahmed Best,
yeah,
who played Jar Jar Binks in the prequel movies. And for those of you who don't know, the public at large, for whatever reason, just turned on Ahmed and Jar Jar and crucified him and harassed him and Jake Lloyd to the point where Ahmed Best he's gone on record and been open that he almost took his own life,
yeah, yeah.
and he's come a long way back from that. And I didn't realize he had a Star Wars game show on YouTube with this
Oh,
character prior.
that's
It was
cool.
like a year or two ago it came out.
Yeah,
So that's where this character came from. So it was so cool to see him there. To see, you know, another, black guy, just dishing it out, that wasn't Mace Windu.
yeah.
Because Ahmed Best, he was like, I wanted to like bring a strong black character who's
And
also
they left this
intelligent.
character open. Yeah, they left this
Yeah,
character open to be
but
alive.
they also really collaborated with him a lot. Like Caloran has that drip, man. I don't know if you saw his
Yeah.
robes. He's got like gold stitching on it,
Oh
and his
yeah.
lightsaber looks cool.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be purple, but I think they didn't want to confuse people, thinking it
They're
was
like
Mace Windu.
another black Jedi with a pimp lightsaber. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, and like I don't know, it's unfortunate. Star Wars fans have learned nothing because the same thing happened with Rose in the sequel trilogies, where
Yeah.
she was bullied off of social media.
Right.
Luckily, she seems to have bounced back in her career, and I'm sure that she's still dealing with some stuff. And I think she had to go to therapy because of it, and I don't blame
Wouldn't be
her.
surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't be
Um,
surprised.
but it was super cool to see that. I mean, a cool Jedi action scene. Typically, I would like not to see Jedi in the Mandalorian, but this paid off, and it was really cool for Ahmed Best to have that moment. And I was really happy for him. It made me smile.
I think my favorite scene was the spoiler alert death of Paz Vizsla.
Ooh,
That was a good scene. Not just because you know man was a one man armying all these soldiers, but also because of what it meant. You know what I mean? That he believes in Din enough to, or not just Din, but I guess Bo as well. Believes in them enough to essentially give up his life, right? And it's supposed to be symbolic of like Mandalore's back, baby. Like, one, I think in the most groan inducing moment in the show, Bo-Katan's like, we're stronger together. You know what I mean? And I think that's supposed to be what
yeah,
you're supposed to put together. There was a lot of missed opportunities here. You know, let's go into final thoughts. There was a lot of missed opportunities this season. I thought this was going to lead up into something a little bit with a little bit more teeth. If I'm being honest with you, I feel like this was just Fisher priced to the point where it's like there didn't seem like there was real conflict. You know what I mean?
yeah.
This reveal of Moff Gideon being alive was something a 7-year-old would be surprised about. I don't know. I mean, like
It wasn't a reveal.
it wasn't really a reveal. It was just like, oh, all right. Like, and then he had clones, and I'm like, okay, like, what is this? Like, there are they like in my mind, I'm like, Disney, there's no way, Josh, there's no way, 2023, year of our Lord, that Disney's trying to justify Star Wars Episode 9's stupid ass plot. There's no way, right? Right? This is like that's not what they're trying to do, are they? Because
They
that
are
would be
forced, dude. The food tube feeding tube is jammed in there, man. Let me tell you.
yeah, I was like, why is this the plot line? I'm like, why? And I think that's probably why I dislike the season so much. Like the plot line of the season feels absolutely stupid. Like it's just dumb. There's nothing. We spent 3 episodes going to Mandalore ish, about 3-ish episodes going to Mandalore. He leaves, and then we spent another 3 episodes back on Mandalore. I would argue we've seen none of Mandalore. We've seen it is literal wasteland, which I get it. You're right. It's been bombed, but like it just didn't really feel like we were anywhere. It just felt like we were in desert and caves still. I don't know how to explain that other than just like I don't know. It just wasn't interesting. It just wasn't interesting. I'm sorry. Try again. Try again. It
Yeah,
wasn't interesting.
no, that's fair. It's this season. It's like this weird mix between the simplistic bad guy monster of the week from season 1,
Mm-hmm.
but then they like jammed in like all this like universe expanding stuff that ties into the sequel trilogy. And to me, it's like, guys, like pick one or the other, and please pick the simple one. They start like stick with where you started. That was great. It was fun. It was enjoyable. It felt like original Star Wars. It got people back into Star Wars, myself included, who didn't enjoy the sequels, and some people did. I was not one of those. And The Mandalorian got me back into Star Wars. So like stick with that. Like do that. Use your other shows. I suspect someone getting canceled, maybe, and a show canceled, might have had a role in this.
I
So I
think
feel like
so
there's a whole
too,
other
because
show that would have done a lot of this stuff.
it feels like there was a tremendous shift in
Yeah.
where the show was going. I just think Grogu needs to be backpacked. I really do. Like, unless you're gonna make him older somehow, like this doesn't make any sense anymore. Like this man is literally taking a baby into war. I just like there's a scene in like Fast and Furious 8, I think, when Jason Statham's character has to save Dominic Toretto's baby, and so he goes on the plane and like straps the baby to his chest and just kills a bunch of people. And it was funny for
Nice.
like 2 minutes. I can't imagine 3 seasons of that. I can't imagine
Yeah.
3 seasons of like fighting with a baby. He can't talk. He literally can't talk. Like,
Yeah. No, like
oh,
it's if you like Star Wars and you're enjoying the new Disney stuff, like I think you'll enjoy this. But like if you have any like inkling towards the older stuff, this is gonna be a little harder to do.
yeah,
I really hope the best for whatever comes next, and if there's a new season of Mandalorian or the Bo-Katan show or whatever it is, like
yeah,
I want to see something good.
yeah.
I love Star Wars. I want to see something good next.
Me too. All right, man. Well, that's our show. Let's get out of here.
Okay, well, that's the end of our show. Thank you guys for listening. If you like what you heard, let us know. You can follow us on any social media platform at the Bandwagon Fan Podcast. That's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and even YouTube. You can also find our podcast on anywhere you listen to podcasts, like Apple, Stitcher, Google, anywhere where there's a podcast, you can find us. Thank you guys for listening. See you next time. The Bandwagon Fan Podcast is hosted by Josh Jimenez, Alex Magosa, and me, AJ Soy. Our show is produced by Kate Smith and edited by your boy, AJ. Our social media is managed by Natalia Kokulia, and our theme song, Lush Waves, is provided to us by Taylor Lewin of _audio. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.